Jacqui-Lee Pryce for Shadowboxruk UK. I'm here with the lovely Caroline Dubois.
Very happy to be here. Happy to see you again, Jackie. It's been a while.
It has. First of all, happy belated birthday. I cannot believe 24 years old.
I know, it's crazy. Time flies. And just the other day I was 9 years old, walking into a boxing gym for the first time, and now I'm here, 24 years old, carving out a life, a legacy for myself. I'm very proud.
Yeah, listen, I'm really proud of you. Let's talk briefly about your last fight, because literally it was over in a blink of an eye. It was over in a blink of an eye. Technical draw against Jessica Kamara. Dominant, spiteful, ruthless, we could go on. You were on the cusp of a KO though, weren't you?
Yeah, I felt it coming, and I'm sure she felt it coming. And that's why when they saw an opportunity, they took it and they jumped at it. It's unfortunate that that's what the rules are. It's unfortunate I've got a draw so early in my career. But, you know, there are worse things to have had, and we move.
Do you know what, though? I think it could be quite a good learning curve. You know, what did you kind of learn from... I know it was short and sweet, but what did you learn from that fight?
It was a new experience, you know, having it stop like that. I would say the Sheffield Arena was amazing. I really enjoyed that. Walking out to all them crowds, the atmosphere, the people was always a good opportunity. And every time you step in the ring, you get used to being inside of the ring. You get used to the lights and the action and the occasion and the atmosphere. And so it's a growing and a learning experience. I would say that's where I learned most and grew most.
Are you now starting to see, though, like, the pieces of the puzzle, like, put together? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm seeing the strength come through, do you know what I mean? And that's translating into those disgusting body shots?
Yeah. Strength, power, skill, all these things, they come in. I'm 24, just turned. I'm only going to get better, I'm only going to get stronger, I'm only going to get quicker. And then, I can't wait. It's exciting. It's exciting where the ceiling is.
Do you know what's interesting as well? Just obviously these are people that you probably looked up to that are on this card. We're talking about the March 7th card at the Royal Albert Hall. Jonas versus Pryce. I mean, you must have looked up to some of these girls in the past, and then here you are sitting on that top table.
It's random, it's crazy. I remember for the first female show, watching Serena Marshall at the Olympics 2012. I was 11 years old, and now I am in the same room, in the same show, same event. We're the equals, you know, and it's crazy. It's time flies, and it's the change from looking up to someone as a role model to potentially squaring off with them in the ring it happens so quickly, and you don't think it's possible, but then it happens. It's like, here we are. It's crazy.
Did you kind of have this when you were visualising how your career could look? Did you kind of have this vision, or is this kind of, I don't know, going way past your expectations?
No, it's not going past my expectations. When I was a kid, I used to imagine myself a lot. I used to visualize things, even without realizing that I was doing. I used to imagine myself fighting. I used to watch all the Contender Series, all the boxing, Hagler, Hearns, Duran, all these shows, and I always imagine myself in those moments. It's crazy to imagine myself here on an all-female show. I never imagined that. But here we are, and it works in mysterious ways, the way things work out, and I'm very grateful.
Do you know what's really interesting? There are very few people your age that knows about that Contender show.
I know. We grew up on that. That was us. That was us. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sergio Mora, all these guys. It was amazing. That was probably one of the best shows I've ever seen. And it's a shame they just stopped it, and we don't have something like that now, because that would be awesome to have another kind of Contender Series.
Yeah, listen, it just makes me laugh when I see like the kind of because you are one of the new breed that kind of looks back to the old and takes inspiration, so it's actually quite interesting that you know that.
Yeah, the Contender Series is prime time. Every Saturday, every weekend we'll sit down and watch that. It's crazy, and I love the Contender Series. Best show ever.
Yeah. So you are really sort of growing into yourself, and you're kind of taking your career and everything into your own hands. You know, what have you kind of learned about yourself over the last kind of, let's say, 12 months, just in the development of going your own way, moving out, etc.? What have you learned about yourself?
I've learned that nobody's an island, and you need support people, and you need support network. And it's, you're put on the earth with your family, but that doesn't mean that you can't find, new family or new people that are going to support you. And even though boxing is an individual sport, you need people to get to the ring. You need a personal trainer to strength train you. You need your coach to boxing train you. You need your manager to watch your back. You need a promoter. You need your team, your family, making sure you're eating healthy, you're training. It's an individual sport, but it takes a team to get there, and you just have to find your team.
But finding your team, but looking at yourself, are you kind of surprised about, oh wow, I've done this and I didn't know how I would cope with it? Have you surprised yourself in some respects?
No, I think I've always had the mentality of you have to walk through things, When you're going through dark times, you have to keep walking. You have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Don't sit and just allow something to overwhelm you. Just keep moving, whatever it is, when you're in a good time. And sometimes it's a negative because you don't sit and appreciate when you're having good times. You just keep going through it. You don't even sit to pay attention to what's happening. It's a good thing and a blessing in disguise, but I just have that mentality of whatever you're in, just keep walking through it. I imagine that when I'm like 30 or 40, when I finally call it a day, I'll be looking back at my career and I'll be really just surprised, how the hell did you do that? How the hell did you have the resolve and the strength? But I think that comes from God and my relationship with Him. It's about finding strength within yourself as well. You can't expect and wait for people to save you. You've got to get up and save yourself. God helps those who help themselves. So.
Listen, I was watching something about that on YouTube, but that's a story for another day. You have always been headstrong, but you've talked about God. Do you now kind of listen to His direction a little bit more rather than trying to? Yes, you have your own aspirations. Yes, God helps those that help themselves, but do you kind of listen to His message a little bit more as to where your career should go?
Yeah, 100%. It's hard because sometimes you feel lonely and you feel like you have no one like older than you telling you exactly what to do. For sure, I have my manager setting things up for me, but you have no direction, like how to live your life, what's the right way to be, and you have to search within yourself. You have to search, in the Bible and try to find. I think the most important thing to be, besides being a good athlete, is to be a good person. And how do you find out how to be a good person? You have to look, the people around you, who you surround yourself with, and that's what I pray for, that God surrounds the right people around me.
Not only the right people, but for clarity, possibly to hear what He's saying. I don't know.
Exactly that. It's a hard life, but this is a part of living.
Do you think that being a professional fighter and going through what you've gone through has kind of drawn you closer in a respect? Do you know what I'm saying? Drawn you closer to God in a respect? Definitely.
I think my life, my experience of life, and I just keep thinking, like, it couldn't have been me. It didn't have to have been me. I've got 7 brothers and sisters. I've got 11, all of us all together, if you count, those that aren't with my mum and dad. So it didn't have to be me, the one who was talented with the boxing ability. It didn't have to be me, the one who was, had this, people say, natural ability. It could have been anyone, but it was me. And because of that, I'm always humble, because it didn't have to be me.
Yeah, 100%. And here's the other thing. When you're in the changing room before a fight, are there any kind of scriptures that you kind of read before you go in? Is there anything in particular that you do? Do you read your Bible?
Yeah, I always take the time to say a prayer and sit down and just try to be with myself. I like to listen to music, gospel. I like to listen to that kind of music before I fight. And I just have a real moment where I just sit down alone by myself in my room usually and just take a moment to just pray and just ask for strength. That's all I ever ask for, is strength. And I know that if God gives me the strength, I can do anything.
I am seeing you just a whole different. It's almost like all the pieces are coming together. I'm not talking about just in the ring now. I'm talking about just in life. And you as a young person, everything seems to be coming together. Just being on this card on March the 7th, they haven't announced your opponent yet. Who would you ideally like it to be?
Listen, it's no excuse. I would have loved to have Terri Harper here, on that table with us, facing off. That would have been awesome, but we sent her some big numbers, and she turned them down, so she ain't about it. That's who I would have liked, but we move. My career isn't centered on Terri or anyone specifically. It's about becoming undisputed. It's about being the best me that I can be, and we move.
So this is in conjunction with International Women's Day, which is I think it's March the 8th, is it? March the 8th is International.
Before, isn't it? I think 6.
We should know that, but I think it's the 8th or the 6th, but not the 7th.
It's not on the 7th, but it's in there. It's around there. We're fighting on International Week.
There we go. What kind of message would you send out to, let's say, young women that are entering into the kind of, their 20s, etc., probably grappling with life? What message would you send out to those young ladies?
That you can do anything, I guess there's always going to be a general divide with the sexes, right? People think people have certain roles that they need to play, and maybe it's true. There's an element of truth in the roles that both sexes have to do. But I do know this is that we are all human, and the ability and to find yourself and test yourself and see the greatest that you can be. And it doesn't even have to be in boxing or sport. It could be in anything. Like, say you wanted to be a hairdresser. Like, why not go out there and strive to be the best hairdresser in the world? Like, there's no gender or anything that should stop you. Like, to be the best person, to be the best mother, to be the best friend, to be the best human being, that should be something that we're all allowed to strive for, regardless of sex or age or anything. Like, you should always, everyone has the right to strive to be the best.